and welcome to the Business Fundamentals Specialist video series. Today we'll be going over the basics of marketing in Marketing 101. First, let's go over a definition of marketing. As defined by the American Marketing Association, marketing is the activity, set of institutions, and processes for creating, communicating, delivering, and exchanging offerings that have value for customers, clients, partners, and society at large. If you've already read the marketing chapter in the business text that we've required, you'll see that the authors use a little bit of a different definition, and I'm not exactly sure where they got that, but this is the definition that's currently on the AMA's website. And I think the most important thing to note here is that you want to create something of value for your buyers, potential buyers, and the public. And without doing so, there's really not much reason for you to be in business. So this whole marketing definition really makes sense because you want to deliver, you want to exchange things that provide a value to your customers. Here are a few things that we'll cover today. They include the marketing functions, the reason for using marketing, and utility. Also laid out in the text, we'll talk briefly about the marketing concepts, markets and their classifications, as well as the marketing mix, marketing strategies, and other marketing plan ideas. Other very important pieces to this puzzle are the creating and implementing of marketing strategies. These strategies are used to implement tactics which are created in marketing plans. And to properly create a plan that works and is effective, you must measure the market to get a good understanding of where you are, other companies, and the market in general. Some quick terms to know before we get going. Target market. The market, which is a group of individuals that have similar needs, characteristics, etc., that a firm aims to reach. A market segment, then, is a portion of the larger market that consists of individuals who have a similar characteristic or characteristics. Market segmentation is simply the process of creating those market segments so that you can target a specific characteristic in a market. The 4 P's of marketing are product, place, promotion, and price. This is also referred to as the marketing mix. And marketing environment is the external characteristics that make up a market. These are often the forces that will really affect a company and how they do business, but they are often things that are outside of the control of the firm. And when marketing to a customer, the 4 P's, or the marketing mix, are really things that the company has control over. They can mostly control the place, they can mostly control the product. There are, constraints, of course. They can control the promotion and the price, but things like economic factors or political factors, which make up the marketing environment, are a little harder to control. Now, once you know your target market, you can better market to them. Without knowing who you're talking to, it's hard to tailor a speech or a product that you think someone will like without knowing who they are. So define your goals, then define the people that you think will best benefit from your objectives, and then cater to their needs. And when you cater to their needs, you really want to express that to them that you can do that. So you'd use the marketing mix to really show and exemplify your benefits that you have to them. The first thing we'll go over are the marketing functions, and these are the 3 main functions that marketing plays in a company. Each function contains different activities used in marketing, and of course without any of them in place, the marketing process is pretty much set up to fail. So as I mentioned, there are 8 functions in total, each being assigned to one of the definitions above. Exchange functions, which are essentially what their title suggests, functions that are based on the exchange of goods and services, and the purchasing of raw materials, which is the buying portion, because you do need to buy raw materials before you can create products. The physical distribution functions, again somewhat of a self-explanatory title, are functions that involve the flow of goods from producers to consumers, such as transporting the goods to a warehouse or using a warehouse, which is a storage service. And that can also include intellectual property, things like server space, and other sorts of storage places. Lastly are the facilitating functions. These are those that are put into place to help the other functions occur. For example, financing operations, knowing who to target in the market, which is done through gathering market information, and evaluating risk are all important things to know before we can even begin the process of buying and selling. The managing of customer relationships is really an important process of the marketing sort of department. Now, this also goes to the PR department and the customer relations department, but it's a role that marketing can play. Customer relationships are really vital to the success of a company, and because they are so important, marketing then serves a very important role. They are the maintainer of these relationships, and they assist in fostering more positive ones in the future. Relationship marketing is, and this is from the text, I believe, the process of establishing these relationships that will last a lifetime, be mutually beneficial for the buyer and the supplier, and that will focus on value-enhancing actions through the creation of more exchange and more activities that further satisfy both parties. Now, as the text is only about 2 years old, I'm a little surprised that they don't tie these things into PR a little more, because PR has really changed in the online world. Customer relations can be done through PR, and PR and marketing are very similar, so that's why I mentioned that these tasks here in managing customer relationships can also be delegated to PR or customer relations, things like that. So marketing is responsible for this as well, but just know that they should really work together with the PR team to make this an effective sort of venture. We're going to talk about utility now. First, what is utility? It's essentially the ability of a good or service to satisfy a human need. And if you think about it, a utility belt is meant to provide the service of holding things until they're needed, and then when they're needed, they can be found and put to use. So the same can be said of a utility of a product. When a need or want is experienced, and a product can fulfill that need or want, the product has utility. So I put a little Batman utility belt on the screen there. But there are 4 different types of utility. Each are from different stages in the marketing and production cycles. So, for example, a form utility is from the production, and that's the process of creating raw inputs into finished products. And then the last 3, the place, time, and possession utility, are all based in marketing activities. Place utility is created when products are made available where customers want to find them. Time utility is when products are made available when the customer wants to find them. And possession utility is the final buying process where ownership of a product is transferred from the seller to the buyer. And these, again, are all supposed to satisfy a need that a customer has. The marketing concept is a philosophy that came about because it was simply needed. Why was there a need for something like this to be defined? Well, in the past, companies were more concerned with producing all that they could, and production was based on what the company thought the consumer wanted to buy. Things have changed, and with so much choice available to everyday consumers, companies need to adhere to this policy to have success. The philosophy states that products and services will be created that actually satisfy your need or want, but that also allows a company to achieve its objectives. The key here is to fulfilling the needs of the customer. So, according to our text, the marketing concept is a business philosophy that a firm should provide goods and services that satisfy customers' needs through a coordinated set of activities that allow the firm to achieve its objectives. And again, as I already mentioned, I think a really important aspect of this is providing something that satisfies customers' needs. We'll talk about the marketing plan next. This is the written document that can be used when implementing tactics to ensure that the company's sections are in line with strategies, the budget, and the defined wants and needs of the target market. Other sections can be included in my definition here of what should be included in a marketing plan. That includes the introduction, a target market and target demographics section where you define your target market, a SWOT analogy, which we'll go over, objectives and goals, strategies and tactics, budget, implementation timeline, and measurement of results. Though the marketing plan can take a really long time to develop, especially if you do a really great job, and ideally it shouldn't take too long, but know that it is crucial to the success of any marketing efforts a company carries out. The plan helps to visualize the company's goals, gives a clear vision to the rest of the company so that everyone's on the same page, and it also helps to measure results based on what was created before the plan was implemented. And a lot of companies will implement plans but never measure the results, which doesn't give much space or much room to work with if you don't know how you did in the past. So really make sure that you define a way to measure results. And that goes with other things like PR and social media as well. You really need to know how you did so that you can create a better plan the next time around. Now, we already went over what a market was. It's a grouping of individuals or organizations that have needs and wants that doesn't make much sense, but they have needs and wants from a specific category. There are two types of markets: consumer markets and business-to-business markets. A key requirement of these markets, however, regardless of which market which market category they're in, is that the people included in each actually want the product and are able to purchase it. That makes them potential customers who are also qualified to be potential customers. So, for example, if your market is women, and you want to create a target market in the women market, which would be, for example, women over 35, not every woman over 35 is going to want to buy your product. So your available market to you will be the women over 35 who are interested in buying your product. On top of that, they need to be able to buy your product. So this requires a lot of research, a lot of looking into demographics and other key factors that you can read about your industry and about the markets that are purchasing from your industry. But know that it takes a lot of research. Now, as I mentioned, there are the two main categories of markets: consumer markets and business-to-business markets. And again, knowing which category the markets that you are targeting falls into is important, because marketing efforts really vary from one category to the other, as each market prefers to be approached differently. They also have different needs, which is an important piece of information to know in order to reach your market effectively. Ways to reach them can be really defined through marketing strategies. The text makes this a little unclear, and I want to make sure that you know the difference between a strategy and a tactic. A strategy is an idea, a goal, an advantage you hope to gain. A tactic, then, is the method in which you will attain that goal, carry out that idea, or gain that advantage. So a marketing strategy is used in a marketing plan, which we'll go over in a few slides here. And it's used to effectively use a company's resources and advantages to meet company objectives. Marketing strategies must be created first before a tactic can be implemented, and once those goals are defined, you must select your target market and create and maintain an appropriate marketing mix to reach them effectively. The marketing mix, then, which is also referred to as the 4 P's of marketing, are product, place, promotion, price, which we mentioned before. The marketing mix needs to include definitions and tactics to implement for each of the 4 areas. Otherwise, the marketing mix will most likely be unsuccessful. For the reference in the text, the P of place is referred to as distribution, but I think that place is also a good and more accepted term. But having read this text, before I'd never heard of it being referred to as distribution, so I don't want to cause too much confusion. But the word does help to define that aspect of the marketing mix, for it includes and involves the distribution and the placement of a product. So the two fit together pretty well. Now, marketing is a little bit difficult, and it can be a tricky thing to incorporate, but know that once you get your marketing mix created, you can really implement them into the marketing plan that you want to create. Now, I said I'd go over the SWOT analysis, which you can read about in the book, but the SWOT analysis is essentially a evaluation of where your company is, and that stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Strengths and weaknesses are based on internal attributes, and opportunities and threats are based on external attributes. So, for example, a strength could be that you offer excellent customer service in contrast to your competitor. A weakness could be that their product is better than yours. An opportunity could be that you see a niche market that's being or that has been previously ignored, and the threat could be that there was an incumbent firm, meaning a firm that was in the industry before you, who has a lot of prior success in the industry and also has more leverage over you, who are still battling with the barriers to entry, for example. So that's what a SWOT analysis is. Just remember that marketing takes time. Creating a marketing plan is the first step to take to have any sort of success in marketing. And don't be afraid to ask questions. You may think someone thinks you're stupid or will think your question is stupid, but most times they won't. So again, just don't be afraid to ask questions, keep an open mind, and do your homework, as that's really how you'll create your goals, create your target markets, and to create your tactics to reach your strategy and to really implement that strategic goal that you've created. So that about sums up our Marketing 101. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at ashley@businesstraining.com. And thanks for your attention.